What is going on here? It is September 12th, Sunday evening in the Eastern Standard Time here. I'm here in Philly. My name is Patrick. This is Everyday Tech for everyday people. And today I am doing my weekly live stream. This is be my normally scheduled live stream. So if you're here for the first time, um, please help subscribe, like and subscribe this. It really does help out the channel. I am growing it slowly but surely. I'm not in a hurry to do it, but yeah. And I see at least one person here is Robert here, and dig the second angle. And I'll get into this angle in a bit right now, and I'll kind of mention what camera I'm using for that. So I'll get into that very soon here. But just a kind of a breakdown of what I will be doing today, and kind of a breakdown of kind of the idea I started last week is I am going to start using these sessions as kind of a working session. I didn't use any of the footage I did last time in the live streams in my actual reviews and videos that I put out, but it was a good practice. So I'm really using these live streams to kind of practice what I want to put in these reviews, basically do kind of dry run-throughs in the reviews. And maybe if I do a pretty good job just doing it here on these lives, I'm going to just take these clips and use them in my live stream. So that's one thing, or my recorded videos. So that's one thing I would like to start doing. And so whether or not anyone joins, I'm always happy that Robert joins, and maybe someone else will join from the community as well. But I am just kind of going through all these things. So yeah, I guess I wanted to go through this live, but I still wanted to do the lives, but I wanted to make it kind of force myself to say, okay, because I'm trying to be on a weekly, go back to my once a week video release. And actually I did 2 last week. I may do 2 this week because I have been promising a video for a while, which is my Notion API one, which I will not go into today, but I'm very close in releasing the Notion plugin for WordPress. So if you haven't seen those, look at the previous videos as well. Let me get into my setup here again. I am using my PTZ Optics. This is I believe it's the 12x PTZ Optics camera. I did a video on this on one of my live streams. So this is a PTZ Optics. I have an app here that I can control. So I can kind of control the pan. So PTZ stands for pan, tilt, zoom. And I have this little app here. Actually, this is an iPad app, but I can really use it on my M1 Mac Mini because I can run iOS apps. And so this is one of the apps I can run. So I can do some smooth panning here. If you notice, the blue light or the purple light down there is one of my background lights that I have had. Let's see, I can set presets here. Sorry for the jerkiness. It's kind of like a church cam. You're right. They do this a lot. I would say they do. I think they were mainly doing these for corporate events first, as far as meeting rooms, but then they really turned into a church cam. And I am going to be using these for church events as well. These do really zoom in quite a bit, but yeah. And then let's get to the camera. This is going to be very jerky because I didn't set how. Let me set it so it's not as how do I say it, jarring to you guys. Okay, so let's see, that should be a little bit smoother. So if I go to my camera that I'm using, nope, that's not the one I wanted. Let's see, where is my preset on my camera? I could have sworn I had it. Give me a second here. Did I set number 3? Okay. Well, here we go. I'm going to just zoom in on my camera here. If you don't know, I'm using an A6500. And if I had a different app, I can do zoom and pan and tilting at the same time. But this is my A6500. And if you know the A6500, it doesn't have a pop-out screen. So it doesn't pop out all the way, but it flips up just that way. And so I have this U-rig mirror. It's like a mirror, so I can see the screen in front of me. And it works perfectly, actually, for like Fuji cameras and for other cameras that don't have a full articulating screen. This works perfectly for it. And then I have a Viltrox 23 millimeter. Now, the reason why I wanted a Viltrox is, well, I really wanted a 23 millimeter actually. And so if you look at this angle, it's at a certain angle, like lengthwise, that I have. And so, sorry, my hair is all messy. It's the end of the day here. I have a Sigma 16 millimeter, but it was a little too wide, so I wanted something a little bit tighter. I have a 30 millimeter Sigma as well, but it's a little bit too tight. I just did get another lens here. Hold on. Yeah, let's focus myself here. And this is the new lens I got, also used. This is the 18 to 105. Let's hide my face here. This is the Sony 18 to 105. And the reason I got this one is this has a power zoom. And so when I wanted something with a little bit more reach. I didn't need too much reach. And it has a power zoom here. And I do have a remote control, kind of a remote control that I can attach to my to this camera right here. And what happens is I can do the zooming from here as well. So the idea is to put it on a tripod, and so have someone operating, but they can clip the remote onto the tripod. They can pan. They want on the tripod itself, but also they can do the zooming in without reaching into the power zoom, which they can do if they want. But yeah, so this is the Sony 18 to 105. So I actually had this lens before. I rarely buy lenses new, so this is an eBay buy, or sometimes I buy it on Craigslist if I find some good deals. But this is an okay lens. This is an 80. Well, this is an 18 to 105, which has a pretty good enough reach. It's so versatile, but it's an f4 lens. So I really like prime lenses, and for example, I like this Viltrox a lot, and so this is a 23 millimeter 1.4 actually. So yeah, I would say I would say I only get used lenses now, unless it's a really good deal. And actually, let me bring out another lens I got actually the same week. Let me get back in focus here. Okay, so if you were on Doc Rock's stream last week, I guess, there was a lens that I believe Sammy was mentioning on there, and that is this guy. This is the Rokinon 12 millimeter f2, and the great thing about this lens is it's really wide, but it's an AF lens. So, and sometimes there's a deal that's just too good to pass up. And what I got this for $200 off Amazon, and the prices have gone back up to $400. But actually, in my testing out of this is a great lens. Actually, the autofocus is not too bad. It's a really wide, but really well controlled as far as distortion is concerned. I'm definitely doing a review on this very soon. and I'm hoping to just take it out in the real world as well to get some shots. But yeah, I've never really done lens reviews, but I want to do some more lens reviews. Now, I did put this on for video, for like a video conference, or testing it out how it would be for the video conference. I'm going to say this. The autofocus is nice, but for when you do it for video, it keeps the focus okay, but it starts to hunt a little bit, and not like in and out so much, but it's very subtle, and so you can kind of see some wobbleness. And so my suggestion, if you are going to use this, is to use this for use it in manual focus actually, and turn on focus peaking. So yeah, it's a really nice lens to get some vlogging going on. And yeah, it's unfortunate that it's not as stable as some of these lenses. This Viltrox doesn't, like, it locks on focus very well. This one can lock on focus, but it just starts to hunt a little bit for some reason. And part of it is it's so wide, maybe in my setup here, that it's trying to focus so much on different things as well. I haven't tried it with this setting, with this screen back here and some lighting, but yeah. So yeah, I was spending some money this week, but I got both these at a great price. And the 18-105 I plan to use more for events and other things like that. So yeah, so that's why I like using this Viltrox. The ring itself right here is how you change the aperture. So it's one of those, it's a very smooth aperture ring. I think some filmmakers are like that. One of the things that people like is that the focus, even though it's focused by wire, I believe, and not just the mechanical focus, or I don't know what the other term is for that, but even though it's like that, it's very good as far as you can set positions on the focus and it'll go to the focus right away. So if you don't know what that is, well, it's okay. So yeah, that is gear that I'm using. Speaking of, just this entire setup itself, my plan for this setup right here, I gotta make sure I speak in the mic. I did a desk tour last year, and that's when I was in the basement. And so I'm gonna do another desk tour for kind of the 2021 desk tour, and I plan to maybe just do it every fall, maybe the start of the school year or something, so it feels like a new beginning for everybody. But yeah, not much has changed in this setup. Of course, there have been some upgrades, and of course I am in a different room, so it is a different setup because it's a different room, a little bit, especially the lighting here. So I have my newer video light there, but then probably the Viltrox is different as far as the lens is concerned. I have my 810 Mini Pro now, and then I'm using this, this monitor right here as my multi-view monitor, so I can see all my different angles, the videos, and then I know I can cut to this one. I know this camera is ready now. So there are a few changes. Oh yeah, these let me pan to it a little bit behind the scenes. These huge speakers right here. These are Amazon basic speakers. So yeah, I remember starting off that video saying, this is the video that no one's been asking. And but it actually did pretty well, so I'm hoping to get into that a little bit more. I'm learning to do these videos a little more. I don't know if I've improved in my video quality. I think in some aspects I have, some, maybe not all visual, but I want to start getting to the more visual improvements to my video. I've been really trying to get into my organization first, and then actually into the habit of creating a video. And that's the getting over the habit, just pretty much getting over myself and not trying to do perfection all the time, but at the same time I want to improve. So I think I have improved in certain ways, but I'm wanting to work on the more visual stuff. And actually a desk tour is a great way to do it. There's great ways to do visual things with a tour, with a lot of panning and different things. Robert, you were doing some plugins for Final Cut the other day. I have some plugins that I use, kind of some, how do I say it, tracking plugins where I can do some more cool text, and so some of those plugins have finally updated to the M1s. Let's see, lasting of gear. Well, okay, second to last thing, because the last thing of gear that I'm going to get into is one of the subjects of today's live stream. But the last thing, a piece of gear that I just got, that I did an unboxing video, is my M1 MacBook Air. So I now have two M1 Macs. My MacBook Mini that I've loved and I still love, and I'm using it right now. This is my main production, everyday use computer. Now I have a MacBook Air, and this is anticipation for going back into the office. So I decided to get one, and I know they're going to announce the M1X soon, or M2 chip, but you can't go wrong with an M1 Mac even now. I'm not going to regret it at all. I think the price point on the M1s are going to go down as well. I think that I believe the M1Xs are going to be at a certain higher price point, but we'll see about that. So yeah, it's going to be the M1 MacBook Air has been awesome so far. I don't know how much of a review video I'm going to do. The thing I like about it is it matches my Mac Mini in the sense of performance, and it's dead quiet. So I haven't done sustained loads on it as far as to see if it throttles or not, but I'm happy to say that it's just blazing fast as well. Way faster than my 2017 MacBook Pro. So this one has 16 gigabytes of RAM, 512 SSD, so that's been great. I have been no regrets as far as that's concerned. Okay, now the last piece of gear that I will talk about will be the subject of today's video, and that is a keyboard. So it's supposed to be a mechanical keyboard, and I'll tell you why I say supposed to be. So I'm going to set up my angles here, but what I do have here is this guy. This is the Keychron K7 low profile mechanical keyboard. And this keyboard has brown switches. So if you don't know, brown switches have some tactile feel. When we say tactile feel, we say, does it have some resistance? Does it, well, not resistance, does it click? Is there a clickety sound? So if something like blue switches will have a really strong click, and people, they say those are for really typists. And then you have something that doesn't have clicks at all, but they're called linear switches. And I do have my previous keyboard that I've been using is this guy. This is the Keychron K2. So the same, from the same manufacturer. These came in gray keycaps actually, but I replaced them with white. I like the dual tone look of this one. So that's the thing about mechanical keyboards. You can make them your own. And so one of the things that's nice about this one is it's the build quality. I actually didn't mind the linear switches actually, but I did want some tactile feel. So, but linear switches tend to be for gamers. better response for them. They need more precise response. And so these are the Reds Keychron keys or switches here. So this has been really nice. This is considered like a 65% keyboard. And so when we compare, let's do a comparison between these two keyboards first. And I'm going to do another comparison between this one and another keyboard. But the difference here, other than the type of switches they have, is you can see the thickness of it. So this is considered a low, the Keychron K7, this new one here, is considered a low profile keyboard. And typically, you don't see too many mechanical low profile keyboards. Now, the nice thing about this one, I'll put this one aside. The nice thing about this one is these red switches are swappable. So let's say I want more tactile feel, I can actually swap them out. So right now this is Bluetooth, so I was charging it there. USB-C, everything should have USB-C, and let's see. Yeah, this is why here's why I like the Keychron keyboards actually, and the reason why I really like the Keychron keyboards is most mechanical keyboards are Windows first. They're Windows centric, and this one does have switches. So these two keyboards right here, functionality wise, they're the same as far as different specs. So they do both. They're both wired and Bluetooth at the same time, and then there's a mode on here on both of these. It's, I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Maybe I can zoom in more. I'm trying to get used to these angles here, but let me zoom in here a little bit more. We'll see if I can figure out which way this is going. Okay. So if you can see that. So this is of course the on and off buttons right here, but it says Bluetooth, middle is off, cable. That's pretty self-explanatory. Now this has two different modes. This is Windows, Android, and then Mac, iOS. So this will work with Windows for sure. So all right, let me get back to this. Yeah, so I remember showing off the switches last week for sure. Yeah, but the thing is, after using this for a week, I'm really liking this keyboard a lot, and this is what's going on, Sammy. I'm just showing off my Keychron K7, and so these both have the functionality. The thing I like about the Keychrons is they're Mac-centric first, but they are compatible with Windows. And actually, they do come with keycaps that are Windows as well. So I'm really liking this. It's a low-profile keyboard. So one of the annoyances, though, let's say, when I first got this keyboard, you realize it was so high. So I got this wrist pad, and it was perfect, right? When I got the K7, it was too high. So I needed to go out and purchase another pad. So is that Ryan? Ryan, is that you? The audio should be working, so I think everyone else can hear me. So let me know if you can really hear me or not. So anyway, let me type to him. Sorry about this. My good friend Ryan, I think that's him. Well, why does it keep on doing that? Okay. Okay, so yeah, so this is what I'm going to be reviewing, doing a formal review. I did the unboxing last week, but yeah. But this is I see a spider on the wall. This is the Keychron K7. Now, this is a low profile keyboard. Now, the other keyboard that I can compare it to, and Robert, I don't know if this is the one. This is the this is the wireless keyboard. Actually, this is the Apple keyboard. This is the first generation wireless keyboard. And so if I'm going to compare these two keyboards or keyboards together, I would say these two are comparable in the sense that they're mechanical. But as far as functionality is concerned, everyday typing, I would really compare these two keyboards. And the nice thing about this Apple keyboard is very portable. It's very low, so I don't need any kind of how do I say it? I don't need any kind of wrist pad on here. But for this one, this keyboard right here, I need the wrist pad. But the feel of this keyboard is for sure a lot better. And so I'm going to go ahead and turn off this keyboard for now and just kind of, let's do another kind of ASMR kind of test here. So let me bring this up a little bit here, and I'm going to bring it up to my microphone here, and you're going to hear it a little bit more. So it has a little bit of tactile feel, but it is pretty nice. Let me get back to this room. Now, the one thing, and I'm going to turn this back on, is the one complaint that I will have with this keyboard for sure is I'm used to having the function buttons all around. So, meaning the media keys here. And this one is similar to the K2, Keychron K2, where I do have this extra row here. And I like using those for as far as my lost for words today, as far as speed is concerned. So I like using the different shortcuts. I do, everything here is crammed into the number key here. And so what'll happen is I have my function keys, my media keys. So in order for me to do the media keys right now, hey Robert, thanks for joining me here. Hope you're doing well. I know, I think you said you weren't home, so thank you for stopping by, and hope you have a great trip if you're on a trip, or just safe travels in general. So I'm going to keep going here though. And the media keys here are all bundled in here. So in order for me to access these media keys, I have two function keys actually down here. So these come with two function keys. The function 1 takes care of all the media keys here. Function 2 takes care of the F keys here, the function keys up here. So it's a little bit of annoyance because even though like the tilde here is with the escape key. Now the problem with that is if you're on a Mac and you're in between two if you're in between two applications, or you have two windows within the same application, I tended to use Command tilde a lot to switch between those windows. But that's an escape key, so I have to do Command function tilde. So that's something to get used to. So these are different annoyances, and I think I will get used to them eventually. A lot of the things I do, if you haven't checked out my video on productivity and keyboard shortcuts, so one of the nice things about the Mac shortcuts is if you use Option and let's say volume up, it takes you right to the preferences. That's another thing. Keyboard system preferences for sound, and if I do Option, let's say the brightness, that takes me to the display. So now I have to do Option function in those keys. Now I don't do that very often, but I've gotten to the point where like I don't even have to think about it. You know, I go to my sound system preferences a lot, and so it does help a lot. So let's see. Last thing I'll show you about this keyboard is similar to my other keyboard. It does have these LED different LED functions here. And right now this is the delete key, but I need to hit the function key. And I don't know if you'll be able to see that. Yep, just a little bit. It does have different backgrounds, and this shows up a little bit better when it's darker because I have this video light on. And so there she is. What's going on, Ash? Just showing off some new hardware. I actually got this keyboard this past week with the other hardware that I was just showing off. I actually got two new lenses, and so my friend Ryan's here. He's not going to be surprised that I'm getting lenses. And actually, I haven't gotten lenses in a long time, and my hair is bugging me here. Anyway, it's been a long day. Anyway, yeah. So yeah. So I've been for some reason everything came in one day. This keyboard right here was a Kickstarter project, and so I will be doing a review on this, I think, this week. But let me just break it down. Would I recommend this keyboard? So I would say yes. This is a great keyboard here. And so, hey Ryan, confirm that's you, because I think this is the first time you were coming on my stream. I think if it's the same Ryan. Okay, yes it is. So so yeah, I got this. If you don't know, Joshua is his son, but I got this with the Kickstarter, and they use the Kickstarter as kind of like a pre-sale thing. So but yeah, I do like this keyboard. I will say I think Joshua does have a PC. I think there are other options that are more PC centric, but if he uses both, this is a really good versatile one. I would say this one is definitely for you, but I would highly recommend getting a mechanical keyboard though. It's one of the things that has increased my productivity as far as even coding or typing. But yeah. And then let's see. Yeah, I hope he's feeling better, because I've been hearing a lot of people getting a little bit sick, and it's just a little bit scarier this time. So if you don't know Ryan is my good college friend from college, and we've been just like keeping in touch all these years. He's in Texas now. But yeah, we need to catch up for sure. It's the first time he's joining me in these live streams, but he's yeah. Yeah, I would say I hear some gamers, they do kind of swapping, like even some keys are like they would do like the normal ASD, keys that a lot of games use. They would use those for different switches, and then everything else different switches. I've seen people do that as well, so that's kind of an interesting way to do it. Let's see, what else can I say about this keyboard? Well, actually I'm not sure how much it is right now, but I believe it's probably going to be up in the $70-$80 range as of now. Probably. I got it off the Kickstarter campaign, which was a little bit cheaper, but then they get you on the shipping as well. But I would say Keychron is a very good company as far as very good build quality. My K2 it's been one of my best purchases. So best purchases of this year, and I just like how compact it is. If you don't need the keys, the number pad keys, yeah, this is one of the ways to do it. This is really good for productivity, and Ryan, you should get one yourself actually. So Well, if you're new to my streams, what I've been doing is I've been doing some kind of working streams. I've been trying to get a video once a week. I do have a lot of different, YouTube right now is a side gig for me. So don't worry, Ryan. I've been keeping up with our projects that we work on, uh, the projects I have for work. If any of my coworkers are seeing this, so that's my number one priority. But I'm using these live streams as kind of a working practice as creating my videos. So let me just say a few words about my channel, and I'll get into my second subject as far as what I wanted to talk about tonight. And as far as my YouTube channel, I am at 429, 430 subscribers or something. I started this channel last year, and I just never thought I would. Like I told my wife, I have 400 plus subscribers now. She's like, "Who's watching your videos?" Obviously, she's not, but that's okay. She's not into tech really, but I've been doing these just kind of as a fun hobby, and I'm really appreciative of all the subscribers, and just getting into video production and all this kind of things has been really fun. I've been asked to do another Zoom wedding, and so I've done 3 so far, but I don't know if I'm gonna do that one yet. I haven't decided. So yeah, I'm growing this channel slowly. I'm glad that all of you can just join me on this journey here. Now, last week, if you didn't catch, I started talking about getting started with Notion. Now, let me do just a recap of what Notion is now. Notion is this all-in-one application for organizing your life. So Notion can do things with note-taking. It can be a to-do list. I've been using it as my video management for YouTube here. Other things you can do are, let's see, personal finances. You can do it for all kinds of things. Project management is a big one now, and Notion actually can do it. And so Notion is really starting to expand on their functionality, and they started doing APIs. And again, I will release my WordPress Notion API plugin soon. So I'm giving myself a deadline this week. We'll see how much time I have to do that. But last week I started talking about how we can use Notion, and I got into databases. But I first got into, like the different interfaces with the editor here. Talked about different headings that you can do, and this is just really note taking, right? Or information data gathering. Now, I would say Notion is not meant for final product or publishing output, right? It's really for productivity, and you can organize things in a nice way, but it's not meant for like an end user consumer to view. That's not the main purpose of it, although you can do nice outputs. But it's really meant for organization, productivity, both personal and professional stuff. So last week I started going over databases, and actually what databases are in Notion. And they really call them tables, but here we created our own database here, right? And I have my Epson printer so these are YouTube videos that we did, and you can open up this and you can go into the editor and just do more notes. And you can do comments here as well. So there's a lot of different things, and the nice thing about Notion is it's simplified. It's a simplified interface. So and these columns that I created, except for the tags are automatically, they came with it, right? These columns I created on the fly. So if I needed more columns, I can create another column here. There are a few built-in columns. And if I want, here's an empty column that I didn't do, but like, let's say I want another category of things. And no problem, Ash. Thanks for dropping by. I hope he feels better too. So yeah, thanks for coming by. So I have these columns here, and there are some built-in columns. So I can do, for example, the last edited time. So if I want to keep that up, and I can say updated, right? So there's different things we can do with, and I can just move these around. But there's different things that we can do with these databases here. Now it is a database in its definition, but Notion really simplifies it into a table. Or there are actually 6 different views that we learned last week that are that you can do. You can do boards, timeline, calendar, list, gallery, and these have to do, but this is all the same data here. So the last thing we did last week was create a dashboard based on this database here, right? So to recap, I created this calendar view here, and this is the release date of the calendar. So for example, I have, okay, let me finish this thought here. Then on this column is the same database, but I filtered it out for everything that was not completed or didn't have a release date. So today I'm doing a live stream right here, right? And it's on the K7 and Notion, okay? I can say that's in progress, but I can also drag this into here, and now it has a date. So if I open this up, it has the date that I just dragged it into, and then it has all the different things I'm going to do. But of course, I can say I'm talking about gear. I'm talking about my channel. I'm doing a little review, and let's see what else. Or like, so I can put all the different tags that I did, and this is a live stream. And so these are different fields that I did, that I set up on the fly. So if we go back to the actual main database here, we see that live stream right here is what I just added. And it just added those fields, but I could create these different dashboards. And so if you want to know how I did this, check out last week's video on how I created this dashboard. Let's see. One thing we can do is I can add a sort here. I want to sort it by updated date and descending. So the most latest updated one I put at the top, which is the one that we just created here. So yeah, so Notion can be as complicated as you want. It can be as simple as you want. But today I'm going to talk about something in Notion called relational databases. And relational databases have to do with 2 databases talking to each other. So if we're going through this YouTube theme right here, let's say I'm a bigger channel now, and I have sponsors. So I want to know how much I'm making in sponsorships, okay? And I'm not a big enough channel to even know if it works this way, or but I'm just gonna do this just to show you how this works, okay? So right now I'm gonna create a new database here, and we're gonna call this sponsors. And when we call databases in Notion, remember it's called a table, or I can do a board view, timeline, calendar, list, gallery, right? So, but the simplest one and the closest one to an actual database as far as visually is concerned is the table. So I have these things called sponsors, and I'm gonna take away the tags. I don't really need to know the tags too much, okay? So we'll go ahead and delete those tags. But I want to do sponsor type, or column type, let's say cost, or how much, the cost, or how much they're going to really, let's say cost per segment, right? Let's give this a number. So this is going to be a number that we're going to do, And then what else are we going to do? We're going to do, let's just keep it like that. So we can delete this column here. So I'm not going to put any real names in here, but what are we going to do? We're going to call sponsor 1, company 1, okay? And I'm going to say cost per segment. Cost per ad, okay? Let's say this is what we're charging them, right? Or how much they're sponsored. Let's say per ad, they're giving us $500 per ad slot, okay? And then company 2, we're able to negotiate $400 per slot, okay? Company 3, another 4. Let's just do something that's different, okay? Now, in company, like other things that you can do with these ad slots is, now I can open this up and I can put all their ad content in here. So when I'm starting to read off their content or their ads on my live streams here, let's say, so this live stream is brought to you by company 1, and I have all my notes here, right? So when I'm doing a live stream, I can be in Notion and just be, have everything at the tip of my, fingers here. Now, so this is a very simple, and I can just start adding, category or type of company, and let's make this. Let's do this. Let's select. This is let's say tech company. So on and so forth. But we're not going to really get into these categories right here, okay? But what we want to do is let's tie it into this YouTube database here. So what I'm going to do is create a new page, and this is going to be my sponsor, let's see, YouTube sponsorship dashboard, okay? And what I want to do is not create a new database, but use the existing database that we have. So what we want to do is create a linked database. And the main one we want to do here first is our YouTube here, okay? But I'm not too worried about some of these fields right now. So what I'm going to do is go here into the properties and just get the names that I want. So maybe I want the status, but maybe I don't need everything else, okay? But actually what I do want is I want to be able to put the sponsorships in here, okay? So let's create a new column here called a relation. And we want to select the database that we want to do a relation with, and that's the sponsors. Let's create the relation, okay? And I'm going to call this sponsors. So now what happens is you can think of this as, okay, why would we want this relational database here? Well, let's say I don't, one way that I did is these types, right? Is I created, or these tags, basically these select boxes, I could create new ones on the fly here, okay? But this live stream doesn't have any data. It's just a tag or a category of what it is. If I wanted to get more into details of what a live stream is, then actually I would create a new database and make this a relation. So I don't know if that makes sense. Let me say that one more time. This type here is a select type, which means I can pick one of these types. I can create a type or choose an existing type and set that type to this. So I can change this to a video live stream. If I want to make it both a multi-select, then I can change the type to multi-select. But these are just tags and they don't have any more data themselves. For example, this is a live stream K7 Notion, right? This is not just a title, but actually behind this, if I open up as a page, I can put more data in here, right? More data here. So there's more behind it, right? So what relations do is this. I can now select one of these. This is like a drop down of, drop down of the other database here. So now let's say in this case, K7 live stream here, company 1 is doing an ad here. So now I have company 1 selected. It's connected to this particular entry. So this is kind of the best way I can explain it. So this company 1 is connected to this live stream entry here. This live stream K7 and Notion entry. So if I want, let's say I'm on this page and I'm doing, I have this as all my notes are on here, and then now I want to read a company ad. I don't want to put the company, I might copy and paste the company ad here, or I can go up to here and say, okay, what is the company here? And so I can go right to that company's info right there. And you see how they're connected. This company 1 is in this sponsor's database. If I add a new company 4 and make this $500 as well, and we'll get back to why I'm putting this cost per ad here. But let's go back to my sponsors here. Now company 4 shows up on my list here. So as I grow this sponsorship list here, this relational database right here is also hooked together, right? So now let me just start with this one. I believe I can add more sponsors as well. So okay. So Ryan has a question. How did I add the sponsors column again in the dashboard? Well, I went in here and I added it like any other column. And then you choose the type, and it's a relation. And then you have to have an existing database here. And so I chose my sponsors, right? And I create the relation. So that's how you do the relations there. So let me do that one more time. I'm going to delete these columns here. And again, I can add any type of columns here. This can be a checkbox. So let's say, oh, did I complete this? Let's say these like a project, like we do some projects together. I can do checkboxes here, right? But let me get back my relation here. Sponsors. Let's go to relations. Sponsors. Okay. And so I can go back to company 1 here, right? Now I believe I can add more sponsors here. Let me see what's going on here. Oh, I can create, yeah. So I can, if I have a huge database of sponsors, I can just start searching for company 2 or company 3. But once I click through there, I can add more. So you can have more relations. So you can see that in this sponsorship has 3 different actual sponsors in there. Right there, right? And I can just take them out like that. So relations are important because you can hop from one database to another. If you have a database of sponsors and you want just to include them into your current database, that's one thing to do, right? You can add them like that. Let's say in this scenario, I have one sponsor per show, but they may want to do a number of ad slots. So let's say I have an hour show, and let's say they want 1 or 2 ad slots, and I want to know how much am I making in that show. So this is what Notion, where we can use rollups and formulas. Okay, so for example, let's create a new column called total cost. Not cost. Let's say cost per. And remember, we had a cost per slot already in our sponsors database here, right? Cost per ad. Let's be consistent here. So instead of me going here and just copying what I did here, oh, it's 500 and just add it in here, we can use something called a rollup. And what a rollup does, and we need to configure this rollup here. It takes the so first, okay, when we click in a column here, first you need to select the existing relation. So if I have a number of relations on this particular table, then I can choose between the two, but I only have one relation here, which is with sponsors. Then I can choose the property that I want to use, and I want the cost per ad. And then I can do calculations on that. So let me just do the sum. And the reason why I would do the sum is because if I choose more than one company here, it'll add them together. That should be 900 now. See what that did there? It automatically took what was in the sponsorship here and added these two together to give me that number. So this was 500, that was 400, and it gave me the total calculations there, right? So rollups, basically takes any property from that relation. So I can just say, okay, let me output the category maybe. And what that'll do is this. If I go into company 2 and add another category of, let's say, what's another type of, let's say service, okay? Company 2 has a category of service, and because I checked both of them, now tech and service both show up on this rollup. Right. But going back to the rollups here, let's go back to cost per ad. Let's use it as a rollup here. So I'm going to choose the relation, which is this column, which happens to be that particular table. Then I'm going to do cost per ad. And if I do show original, it's just going to do 500-400. So that can be useful as well. But really, I just want to do a calculation of, you can do the average actually, or median, min, max, or just do a count. That'll give me 2, right? But I want to do the sum. And that'll give me 900. And I didn't put any sponsors, so that's why I didn't put it. Okay, let's go back to my original kind of scenario here, though, that I'm only going to have one sponsor per show. But that sponsor could do multiple ad slots. It'll differ from every show. So I want to do a new column here, number of ads. Okay. And we're going to make this a number. So let's say company 1 is the main sponsor of this show. They are a tech category. Their cost per ad is 500. And today's show, they're doing 2. So now you kind of see where we're going next column now. I want to get the subtotal of, obviously it's going to be 1,000, but if this changes or the number of slots changes, then I just need to change it in one place, right? So let's say total cost. And this is where formulas come in now. So in this formula, what we're going to do is this. We're going to take the property of, so there's different I'm not going to get into too much detail here, but I'm just going to show you what we can do with this, right? So I'm going to take this property right here, the cost per ad. Okay. I'm going to multiply it by the number of ads. And that should give me 1,000, right? So if we go back to this formula here, right here, it says the property cost per ad, which is this column here, times the number of ads. So if I change this to 3, that gives me 1,500. So you can see this being kind of like an Excel table mixed in with a very simple database, mixed in with a project management tool. All these things is what Notion can do for you. So, and let's say, so this is where this might break down, but I can add in company 2 again. And this gives me 1,800. This assumes that each of these are doing two slots each. So that's, these are the kind of things that you're going to have to put in there. You might have to, if you have sponsor 1 and sponsor 2, you're going to have to put them in separate columns. But in this example, really, there's only one sponsor per company or per show. And so this is one of the ways we can use, more advanced ways we can use databases in Notion. So if you are a web developer like me and Ryan, and who've worked with databases like MySQL, you realize that databases can be complicated for people, but once the concept is still the same. But this is what Notion has done, is used it in a very simplified way, but still maintain the functionality and power of a lot of things. You can think of Excel actually as a database. It's just in a certain type of format, right? And what databases are really good for is functionality, is searching. And so a lot of reasons why Notion is so powerful is has a very powerful search feature as well. And the reason why sometimes we do tags is because we can search within, we can search within these, these tables really quickly. And this just searches for, does a text search, I just remember spelled that wrong. Yeah, so let me recap of everything I've done today, and then I will do a regular video, kind of more condensed video on this later this week. And so let me see what does Notion expose an API to your databases so you can create a custom UI. So Notion, let me put that. Notion just created an API that you can use, and then you can use it for things like WordPress. So we're working on WordPress a lot together, and so you can access the data in the databases. And I actually created a WordPress plugin, a very simplified WordPress plugin that I'm doing an update video sometime this week as well. But I'm going to release that code on my GitHub soon. But yeah, it does have a very simplified API, but it's not as robust yet, but they are building it out, and they do have a lot of integrations with that. So, but this would be a great way to I think it's a great way to organize data and then have one place to organize that data and then display it in a custom place on a web page, for example. And you do the formatting on the website itself, but all the data comes. Basically, you're using this as a database as well. So, and right, I did a simple video on WordPress, on my WordPress plugin before. So let me get that link really quick and put it in the chat so you can check it out. But yeah, I was surprised people were really liking that plugin for some reason, and so that one got actually a lot of traction there. So let me get that link here, and put it in the chat here. Yeah, it was like just the first pass through of my plugin there, but yeah. So let me recap what I did today. So last week we talked about getting into Notion itself, like the editor. It's just a very simplified editor. But then we started building tables and or databases. And I like to think of them as tables really, because that's what they are to me as far as the simplified view. And we got into these dashboards, a calendar view, a list view here. There's a little trick to getting these side by side. And then today we talked about three different concepts. We talked about first relations. And so we have two databases that are connected together. And this is a very classic way to think about a relational database. And then we talked about rollups and how you can use those, combine those two databases into one. So it's kind of like doing a lot of joins in your queries if you're a programmer. And so I wanted this query. This is my dashboard that I came out with. So I want to display certain things in here. You can do icons. You can do different and more advanced things. And there are other resources out there. So it's kind of nice. You can use more visual things, icons, images. So that's the nice thing about Notion is it's more visually appealing as well. Yet it still maintains its power, functionality. So we talked about rollups, and so I'm pulling these categories as a rollup from this relational database between these two, right? Then I'm pulling these things in here as well. This is the cost per ad. And then the last thing we talked about is formulas, which is kind of tying everything together in a functional way. I'm bringing in the data here from the sponsors. This is data here from this dashboard here. And then we have the total number of costs, right? And actually, if we go back to my YouTube main database here, I believe the number of cost per ad and everything, okay, it all shows up here in this main database here. This is like, this column here is like the raw database. But really what we were doing here is manipulating the main database here, but only showing the columns that we wanted to see here. And you do that by going here to properties, and I'm just hiding the other columns that I don't want to see, right? Let's just take away status, and this is really just a cost per thing. Oh, let me show you one more thing. And let's say I have another sponsorship here. This is company 3. They did one ad. Those cheap bastards. Company 3. Come on. Anyway. Okay, so let's say I want to do, I want to calculate all the money I've made in these shows, right? From sponsorships. If you go to the last column here, we can do another sum, or I can do an average, right? Of how much I made per show. Did that do it? Maybe not. So I'll have to look into that. Oh yeah, I think it did because it was doing the number. I think that was cost per slot probably. Anyway, I'll look into see why it did that. But yeah, so we can do the calculations based on, let's see, let's do another sum. Gives me the total number of things. And then here I can do the count of all. Oh, this is count of everything. Anyway, I haven't got into all these little things, but yeah, I'm going, let's see, Brian has another question here. Let's see, does the last row automatically have a calculate feature? So the last row does not have an automatic calculate. well, it does have the calculate feature, but you have to tell it what to calculate. So there are these different fields that you can show down here. So I can show the average, the median. I'm showing the sum here. So yeah, I hope that answers your question there. Like for example, this column, this is where I would say count all. This is the number of entries I have in here. So there is the feature in all of them, but it's a matter of what you want to make it to. So yeah, did a lot of talking here, and let me get back to this main screen here. So yeah, to kind of recap, I went through a little bit of my setup earlier. So if you want to see the replay, but I was using my little nifty PTZ camera here. And this is used in a lot of house of worships, as Robert was saying earlier in the stream. So I have this camera right here, and I can control this software using this, using this. This does a 12, this is a 12x zoom. You can get up to 30x zooms. These aren't cheap cameras. I got it for pretty cheap though. And then I can set different points with a number. I did my keyboard view, so I set that as a point as well. And so that's one of the things I've been doing. And then of course, this week, 2 lenses came in that, anyway, I haven't bought, Ryan, I don't know if Ryan, if you believe me or not, I haven't bought lenses in a long time, so. But this is my Rokinon 12mm. It's a very wide lens. I would say this is really good for, mainly for wide shot photography. If you use it for videos, I would put it in manual focus. And then this is my 18-105. This has a power zoom, and I'm really going to use this more for church events. And we've been doing hybrid events, and we're going to continue to do them. So I really needed something with it. So, and I swear, I haven't really been buying lenses. Doesn't mean I haven't buying gear, but it's just, anyway, I've been good. So, yeah. Anyway, I am going to stop here. I've been streaming for over an hour. This is one of the longest sessions I've done, but I'm going to do more of these working sessions and just kind of go through stuff. I like this interaction that I have. Like Ryan comes in here and he asks all these questions, and I'm going to incorporate them in the review when I do the final review of these. So I usually do them at nighttime after the workday, but yeah, so I'm gonna be going back through this video, getting all the questions there, and just incorporating them into the reviews. So let me go back to my last thing I'll do here is go back to what I have coming up. So I have coming up is keyboard review, Notion, and some other things. So anyway, I hope you are all doing well. Thanks for joining me. And if you are new here, please subscribe. And it really does help out the channel. Give it a like. And until the next one, I will see you later. And I hope you are all doing well. So I'm going to be out of here. See ya.